We're going to just go over some of the sections. Okay, let me start by saying, guys, I want everyone to just take a deep breath and relax, because Carlos has refined this system that a lot of you guys that are brand new or been working part-time and you're a little concerned, can I do it? Well, I'm going to tell you absolutely without a doubt, we all can do it. I know initially when I got started, a lot of what you are going to see, we actually had to memorize and had to be able to extrapolate it because we didn't have the videos. And Carlos in his wisdom recognized that today a lot of people watch videos. They look at their phone, they look at short clips. So he said, you know what, guys, I'm going to make it easier for you guys. You won't have to work so hard. I'm going to put everything in a video in detail, which allows us to first off take a look at it, get the understanding, because again, we require a lot for our customers and they deserve a lot. So we want to get it first, but they can actually look at every detail because it's on video, which we're going to talk about. They can go back, they can check things. So it's a step-by-step process. And if the home buyer follows everything that you see on Homebuyers Navigate here, they will get to completion in a relatively short time. In fact, we've had a few new associates, actually, I believe Carlos mentioned, go through everything, and it only takes 29 minutes to actually go through every aspect of it. You can do it very quickly, and we've had individuals upload documentation in 1 to 2 days, and I think even a shorter time period. So, as Carlos mentioned, we have to realize, number one, we're not salespeople. We are here to give the information. We're here to help educate the home buyer to allow them to know that this program does indeed work. And this, for most folks, I'd say 99.9, this is an opportunity for these individuals to get a grant that's non-repayable with no strings attached, with no fees involved. So the first one is customer success training. So let's take a look at that just for a moment. And we're not going to spend a little time on it because this is the one that we show on a regular basis. So start that, Ken. We're going to play just a couple of minutes so I give a little input. Go to the beginning. Okay, start from the beginning. Go ahead.
Welcome to fundmyhome.org Customer Success Training. Our best customer is an educated consumer. High standards. We expect a lot from you. Because you deserve a lot from us. We understand that purchasing your new home may be one of the most important and exciting decisions that you will make in your lifetime. As such, we are committed to making this experience as delightful as the time you will spend in your new home. Raising the bar. With fundmyhome.org, you will pilot through the process well-informed, well-prepared and confident of the potential outcome before you proceed with your home buying experience. In other words, for your convenience, you will be first conditionally approved by fundmyhome.org and its preferred lenders before you engage our preferred realtors or engage a seller into contract. This training is created to help prepare our down payment assistance recipients to effectively navigate through the application process of our amazing down payment assistance program. It is important to follow each step precisely as instructed to ensure a smooth, efficient process. Notice: fundmyhome.org is neither a lender nor a residential real estate broker. As such, it does not lend or broker mortgages, nor broker the purchase or sale of residential real estate. Fundmyhome.org is a down payment assistance program managed in collaboration with Real Estate Mortgage Grants and Down Payment Assistance Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our associate members are strictly prohibited from acting as or representing themselves or fundmyhome.org as a lender or a residential real estate broker. They are independent contractors who promote our down payment assistance. Please note: we will not sell your information to a third-party company. It is fundmyhome.org in collaboration with Real Estate Mortgage Grants and Down Payment Assistance Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, who will donate some or all the funds you need for down payment and/or closing costs. Our down payment assistance is gifted to you without liens or second mortgages. Our best customer is an educated consumer. Our goal is to share our knowledge, tools and skills with you in order to educate you and empower you with the ability to discover and decide for yourself whether you are a potential good fit for fundmyhome.org before you apply for our down payment assistance. How familiar are you with down payment assistance programs from
Okay, guys, I wanted you to see that because this is setting the stage right from the beginning with our potential home buyer. Everything they need to know, who we are, what do we do? We're not lenders, we're not realtors, what our purpose is, everything, 501c3, all of the information that they need to know to realize who they're working with is right there laid out. So as a new associate, we need to get familiar with that because there will be questions, but I want you to know Carlos has this set up perfectly and it's going to move down giving more benefits, but everything is here. So it's important when you talk to that potential home buyer that you let them know our program is very successful. We have a track record. We can get you in that dream home, but you must follow the steps. Again, we do require a lot, but you as a customer, you deserve a lot. So we want you to understand this. If there's any problems, any questions, we want to make sure you get those answers. So we want to set the stage to let people know it's all laid out right here. Let's go back to Homebuyers Navigate here, Ken. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to emphasize with that potential home buyer. The next, frequently asked questions. Now this is important, and I'm going to say this because I've had a lot of new folks call me up with all kind of questions, and I know they're new, but we really have to study this because that home buyer or potential home buyer is going to ask questions that we as an associate should have an answer to. I'm a foreign nationalist. Can Fund My Home help me with a grant? Can Fund My Home help me with closing costs? We need to know the answer to that. My neighbor is going into foreclosure. They got a beautiful home. Does Fund My Home, can Fund My Home help me to get a foreclosed property? We need to know the answer to that, which is no. I just had a bankruptcy and a foreclosure. Can I possibly qualify and get down payment assistance from Fund My Home? The answer is yes, but restrictions apply. Okay, I just saw another beautiful home. It's 3 acres and it's a beautiful mobile home, single wide, beautiful lake, everything. Can Fund My Home help me to acquire a down payment assistance and closing assistance on it? You need to know we don't do single wide mobile homes. So these are just some of the questions that are under frequently asked questions, which again, the magic of what we have in place, all of these questions, and Carlos has taken time to find out the majority of questions, they are right here so that potential home buyer knows who we are, what we do, how we do it, and what they need to qualify. So you guys, and I'm always looking at it over and over again, need to get very comfortable because if you're speaking to someone and they ask a question like that, and you say, I'm not sure, I have to get back to you. Well, they might excuse it once or twice, but if they ask a series of questions and you really haven't done your homework and you don't have a clue, they're not going to have the confidence that we want to instill upon a potential home buyer. And because the information is here, it just means take some time. This is business, and as Carlos has mentioned, and you've heard Charles and all of us speak about it, this definitely, I believe, for all of us is going to be one of the biggest game changers in our life. Whether we want the money for ourselves or we want to be philanthropists and change the world, all those activities require funds. They require cash. They require money. So if you don't want it for yourself, you might have more altruistic goals. Fine, this is the vehicle. But being that this is the vehicle, we need to do our homework. We need to be on top of it. And again, it's foolproof because even if we don't know, it's here. Okay, it's here. The potential home buyer could find the answers if they follow the steps. So let's go to the next tab. And this one is the one that we spent the most time on because this is everything. And remember, we're not lenders. Okay, we're not real estate brokers. We are a down payment assistance program to help with down payment and closing costs. So when you get these questions, well, Lawrence, the interest rate, is it going to be favorable? Is it going to be 5.4? Do I have a PMI? I explained that's not a question I can answer. That's not what Fund My Home is involved in. We handle the grants, and that is based on you getting approval from the lender. So when the lender approves your contract, FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, conventional USDA, you can have that conversation and say, I don't want to pay PMI. I used to pay that. What do I need to do? And they might say, okay, you need to add X amount of dollars. You don't have PMI. if you have high FICO scores versus low FICO, meaning if you have the 580, well, you might get a different interest rate as opposed to if you have 710 or 720. But that has nothing to do with Fund My Home. We go into action after the loan has been approved by the lender. So that's the thing you always have to take in account. Can you do it? If the lender agrees to lend you and give you a mortgage, then we can consider and do as our part of the equation. But that's the first step. The lender has to approve. That's why it's so important to have all the documentation, and we'll talk about that in its perfect sequence, clarity, so that approval can happen within 5 to 7 days. Now, this is the down payment assistance calculator, and we've been working a lot on this calculator, and this is a great tool because when you have someone who might just be kicking the tire, well, you don't want to waste their time, but you don't want to waste your time at all. So if you have someone who's making $25,000 and he wants to get a house, and our minimum is $120,000. So remember that we don't do less than $120,000. And when I say less, I'm talking about the lenders. The lenders will not secure a loan. So therefore, our prospective home buyer has to want a property that's at least $120,000. So that's in place. But if you have someone, for example, and they're making $20,000 a year and they want a home for $200,000, when you put it in the calculator, the Fund My Home down payment calculator, it'll come out red, which will state the income does not merit a property at that selling price. The median price income is not in alignment with income. So you want to make sure you check the calculator. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it because we've done it over and over again. You want to get familiar with it. You want to look at, of course, line 7. That's what we're looking for, which again shows us the W-2 income. You'll speak to someone, they'll say, I'm making $120,000, but I don't want to pay Uncle Sam a lot of money, so I have this deduction and that deduction, and we understand that. But for what we do to move this through quickly, you ask the question, what's on line 7? We want to see what the W-2 says because we can get a quick turnaround. So you look at that line 7, which is really crucial. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Zillow in a moment. But you put that in, you take the basic information that we've been showing all week, their income, we look at the liability in terms of what their expenditures happen to be. And one thing I'll mention we haven't said too often, when it comes to a credit card, they can put the minimum payment. Sometimes I'm working with someone and they'll say, oh, my credit card's $100 a month. I said, now, is that the minimum payment or is that what you choose to pay? They said, well, I choose to pay $100. I don't want this to go on forever. But what does it say as the minimum? Oh, the minimum is $15. Then we can put the $15. We don't need to put the $100. So that's something to keep in mind when you actually speak to your potential client, making sure that we put the minimum in because we want the most favorable results. We want that below 56% so that we know that this loan will be approved. So that's another key factor. And of course, going down a little bit, Ken, what you'll see on the printout, it will show how much the potential home buyer needs right here. Okay, it shows exactly or close to how much the home buyer needs after assistance. Yeah, right down there. So it shows them. And one thing that I like about Carlos, the number that we have, it's going to be, in most cases, a lot more favorable when they get the actual numbers. This is an estimate. This is, as you said, not guaranteed. It's close, but we're going to make the client happy as opposed to sad when they get the actual numbers. So we're going to deliver more than what they anticipate, which is going to help us to maintain that relationship where Fund My Home goes the distance. But if you go up a little bit, it'll show how much it is. Okay, let's take a look. Anticipated down payment, estimated closing costs, transaction out assistance, $22,000, estimated cash needed after assistance, $5,460. That's serious, guys. That's taking someone who's renting and actually now putting them in a position to move into home ownership, which is going to create generational wealth, which is going to create a legacy. I've said time and time again, my family has always had real estate. We've been blessed with some really good real estate opportunities. And without it, money for my kids going to college would have been tight. a lot of the things that I've been able to do wouldn't have happened. But with real estate, as you guys know, you can buy a property, and depending if you get lucky and you're in the right area, in 10 years, you can have $100,000 in equity. It would have been really difficult to save $100,000 in 10 years renting and working a regular job. So this is freedom. So we want to really help these individuals, including ourselves, experience the freedom that we were birthed on this planet to experience. Brought here to experience the abundance and prosperity that this life, this human experience has to offer. But sometimes if finances are not in place, it really paints a different picture. So that's part of what the Fund My Home mission is. Let everybody experience the abundance, the joy, what this life can really offer. So that's enough for the calculator. But you want to play with it, get familiar with it, get very comfortable. Now, Zillow, this is another aspect. When you're talking to that potential home buyer, and of course they're looking at it themselves, they need to know the median price for the home in the area that they're looking. They can put in the zip code, they can put 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a 2-car garage, patio, whatever it is, and Zillow will let them know 2,000 square feet, whatever it is, it will let them know what the median price is for that area for the property they're looking for, so that when they put the request of what they are looking to get as a loan, it's in alignment, it's congruent. So if they look and they find out a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in that zip code with the patio or the backyard average is $350,000, then that's the amount that we can put in initially. Now, once we look at the debt to income, if it's well below, then we can increase it and actually say, well, 350 is the average for this area, but according to the numbers, you could qualify for 450,000. So if you prefer to get a more expensive property, you can. Now, one thing occurred to me, guys, that was kind of funny. I was speaking to somebody. The fact that we get marketing fees and not commissions, do you realize that if you put someone in a home that was only 120,000 and you put another person in a home that was $1 million, we would still get the $750. So I'm saying we don't have to do like realtors, wheeling and dealing and trying to the customer and get them to buy a home that they probably can't afford, because we're looking in the back of our mind, well, I make more commission, so I know Joe said he wanted 350, but let me show him 450, 475, because I'm going to make more money. When I watch those shows on TV, I keep saying, how come every time they say I want a house for 350, they say, well, I know you said 350, this is only 500,000, hoping they fall in love with it, and maybe they can afford it, but that's not what they wanted, and they're going to have to pay that mortgage. With us, we can be honest, we can be sincere, we can meet the client at whatever level they want, because financially, we don't have no subjective thought that, well, I'm going to make more or less. We do a good job, we get referrals from the client, and everybody wins. So this is what the Zillow is about. And I've had fun looking at my neighborhood doing Zillow and recognize that my property's gone up quite a bit, and I hadn't realized it. So this is a good tool that we just want them to use to make sure that, again, the median price for what they want is exactly what we're asking for. So let's go down to the next. Okay, workflow. Let's hit that tab because that's important. Okay, one of the things that we mentioned, guys, and this is something you really need to know, what makes us unique, very unique, that we have no fees. No fees. I've seen home buyer programs where you spend grant programs that you might spend $100 to $200 just for an application, and you may not get approved. We have no fees that go to Fund My Home, no application fees, no broker fees. We are not asking the potential home buyer for nothing for us. They will pay appraisal report, because that has to come out of their pocket. They also will put up the earnest money. So in the workflow, in supportive documentation, they know that they need to have earnest money to go to the title company. It doesn't go to Fund My Home, it goes to the title company. It's in the amount of $3,000. Sometimes people say, well, why do we need $3,000? Again, Fund My Home doesn't need $3,000. We're not getting the $3,000. It's going to the title company, so that when you pick a home and our realtor's taking you out and you say, this is the home I want, this is the home for my family, and the buyer, the seller says, well, what is your deposit? What is your down payment to take this off of listing, to put this in the contract? And you say, oh, I've got 1,500. Well, that's not a serious buyer. They're not going to take 1,500. You're not a serious buyer. So we have the 3,000, so we can put that down and know that it's a serious buyer. And of course, if the deal doesn't go through, or something changes, that's with the title company. That's not with Fund My Home. So as Ken is showing you guys, this is all laid out. It explains exactly how it goes to the title company. Everybody's protected. And Fund My Home, as I mentioned, we don't touch it. We don't see it. It's all held with the title company, just again, allowing that individual to be able to move quickly. Now, one thing that we do require, and this is something that Fund My Home feels strong about, and I know you guys support it, and that is we want to make sure every home that we're involved in has an inspection. Even if Joe says, well, I'm a flipper, I'm going to rip this up and I'm going to rip that out, I don't need an inspection, I don't want to spend the money. If you want to work with us, we are going to insist that you get a home inspection because our reputation is on the line. We want to make sure there's no hidden things that we're not in contingencies that we're not aware about. We don't want to have a problem here. We want to have a nice, squeaky clean record. And by having that inspection, we know that that part is handled. So once again, our company is doing everything necessary to keep us in the green, to keep our customers happy, to keep our reputation and our brand, which we're going to have that's really developing full tilt, and people will start to look for us because of the job we're doing. Okay, so let's go down to next section. Okay, workflow. No, support, let's see, we did workflow. Okay, supportive documentation. Okay, now, very important. There's certain things that, and raise it up a little, Ken. What does a potential client have to have? Well, it's right here. They need income documentation. They got to have the last 2 years tax return, the last 2 years W-2s or 1099s, most recent month's pay stubs. Whatever it is, it's laid out. You don't have to guess it. You can go over it. They can see it. This is real crucial because, again, we don't do the loans. We're not the lenders, and this is necessary for the bank to approve it. And if we don't have this, we don't get the approval, and there's no getting around it. So you want to make sure they do it. And very important, and Carlos talked about it just the other night, it has to be legible, front and back, account numbers. When they use the uploader, everything has to be clear so that when the bank sees it, they can process it. It doesn't go in the back file and end up taking much longer for the process. Everything is here, number of members in the household, all the documentation to close the deal is right there. So supportive documentation is crucial, and you want to make sure, again, when you're talking to that potential home buyer, let them know how important this is so that we can process this in a timely fashion. Next one. Okay, now this is important as well. 90% of the country is in what we call USDA area, which is United States Department of Veterans Affairs as well as Department of Agriculture. This will allow an individual to get into a home if it's a USDA designated property with zero money down. And in certain parts of the country, there's still a lot of USDA available. So the question is, if it's zero money down, why do they need us? Because most realtors could take you to a USDA property. And again, the same thing that applies for us will apply for a real estate operation. So why do they need Fund My Home? Because we can step in and take care of the closing costs. And as you work with the calculator, you're going to notice the closing costs can be substantial. So we're offering a great benefit for those that choose a USDA property. And one thing I've recognized today, we have a lot of baby boomers that are moving into retirement. And with the internet and with all of the high-tech applications, you can live somewhat out in the country and still function and still work. You don't have to be in the city like you had 2 years ago. So a lot of people are interested in it. a USDA property, because again, owning anything versus renting, in my opinion, and most other potential home buyers. So really great option that we need to talk about. And the same thing with veterans. A veteran, of course, has a certificate, so they're entitled to a property with no money down. So I had someone call about a veteran this actually today, and I said, yep, they have the certificate, they can get no money down. And they asked, well, how do Fund My Home help them? Well, we still have the grant money, and we're gonna pick up the closing costs, which again is substantial. Made a big difference. So on your site, once again, you can go right up to that tab, and it links you to that site for, hit that again, yeah, go right up there, Ken, home buyers, and USD, yeah, up one more. There you go. So when you hit that we have a link right here that'll take you and give you more information about it. And it also has a map where you can look around and put in certain cities and see where the USDA properties are. I know I was looking in a couple of states, so I got to know. I can say, well, look, if you want to live in Broward County, if that's okay with you, we can actually get you in with zero down, and we can help cover the closing costs. And once again, I'll move to Broward County if I can have a home versus renting. So there's a lot of flexibility of what we can do. And again, if the home buyer does what we instruct them to do, which is to take the time and go through each tab, they will realize that we're going to do everything possible to help them experience home ownership. Okay, going down again. Credit score. Okay, we don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but as you guys know, 580, we can actually get, as Carlos has indicated, we can actually help people with FICO scores below 580 with restrictions, but 580 is the minimum of what we're looking for. So we give them some options that they can actually get a credit score, get their credit score, and it doesn't affect their credit rating. Because one of the things, we want to keep those FICO scores up. So use Credit Karma, which a lot of people have used, because we need to know their FICO scores when we start to engage in this process. And some people say, oh, I think it's 580, and they may have a couple of dings they're not aware of. We don't want it getting to the lender, and we're putting it in at 580 or 600 and find out they had a couple of dings they didn't know about, and now they're in 500 or 510, and then we may not be able to they may not be able to get the deal to be processed or to be approved. So we want them to check that piece so we know that, again, everything is set properly. Now, when they actually get the approval from the bank, they are, at that time, going to charge them, and they're going to run their own credit report. We just want the two of them to link up and be in sync. Okay, so let's go down to near the end tab here. Okay, credit score, home buyer registration. So once you've gone through the process and you got all the documents, the workflow, everything is in place, and now you're going to have pre-qualification specialists actually get the final call to go over everything to make sure they can get that information to the bank. We go to customer personal information, and Ken's got it up, and that's what they have to fill out to get an ID number. Once they have that ID number, that's when we can transfer them over to our customer care specialist. They will talk to the client. They will go over all the information to make sure that everything on Home Buyers Navigate here, or everything's been checked off. They will ask the question, did Lawrence Bond go over Home Buyers Navigate here? Lawrence Bond, I haven't seen that guy since he spoke to me. I don't know what he's doing. No, that's not what they're going to say. They're going to say, yes, he did. He went through it. We talked about each section. He's a great guy, and I don't have any questions. And then they're going to say, fine. If the answer really was, well, we haven't seen Lawrence Bond, we think he's on the golf course, they're going to say, well, we feel an educated buyer is our best customer. They're going to have them go back and actually look at the whole Home Buyers Navigate section, because we do actually want our customers to be educated. We want to know exactly what's going on next, so they can follow the stream and feel very confident. So once this is filled out, they will have a customer number, and then when they get transferred to the customer care specialist, they'll ask them for their number, your number, and then they'll take it from there. And what they will do is they will confirm the numbers. They will use a down payment calculator and make sure that everything that they have is exact in terms of what was stated. And then they'll say, now, Once again, you want 3 bedrooms, 2,000 square feet, you want a backyard, you want this, you want it near public transportation, and all that information that they have. Once it's approved, the realtor will get that information as well, so they know exactly what this new home buyer is looking for. So they'll take them out proper homes that fits their parameters. So this is the home buyer registers here, and the last piece is the document uploader, and that's what I said earlier. Every sheet should be in sequence. Last 2 tax returns, everything that we have front and back. This is the main focus right here. And once this is uploaded, it's now in the hands of the lender. And now we're ready to go. And right here is where you click for your supportive documentation. So guys, this is the uploader. Thank you for putting that, Ken. So the key here is, guys, even if you just joined 10 minutes before the call, you now know where to go. You know what to study. It'll take a little time, but everything is here. So when we first came, as I said, we mentioned the callers looked at us and we were kind of stumbling, to tell you the truth. He said, oh, you guys are good. You got a good heart, but I think you need some help. And he laid all this stuff out. So when you say, if you're looking at where the company is now, you have no idea where we're going, because there's been so many great enhancements in the short time I've been there. And now it's really foolproof, because once again, and it's not a joke, the mission statement is to put 1 million families in home over the next 30 years. Carl's been working on this a long time. He didn't just wake up and say, oh, I got a good idea. He's put a lot of time and energy, and he streamlined it where we don't have to have the license as a realtor. We don't have to be mortgage brokers. We're going to get paid more than most realtors, mortgage brokers earn. We can move our business and travel around the world. As long as we got a laptop or computer, we can still do business and help people. So this is a gold mine. This is a golden opportunity. And as I said, if we find we need something else, just give us a little patience. It will show up. It will definitely show up. So with that section, I think I covered. Let's go to fundmyhome.org. Here, I just want you to know it's available, but you can take your own time and you can look at that. Take your time, look at that, get to know your company. I think tonight, Carlos did a great job telling you a little bit about our story, why we're here, what we're doing. You guys know the mission statement. And, you know, when I talk to people, I just tell them the truth. I say, look, I'm working with a 501c3. You won't believe it, but they have a mission statement of actually helping 1 million families get into homes over the next 30 years. I said, now, I don't know about where you live, but I know where I'm living. The rents are choking people. They can't save money for a down payment. And here is a solution. So if that's happening, and most people say yes, 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 now they are ready to move forward.